What's up, Quadcopter fans? It's hiringadrone.com, and today I'm going to be doing a video to show how to hook up the Turnigy X9 transmitter and receiver to the KK 2.1.5 Evo flight controller, which is here. I have my flight controller installed on an F450 do-it-yourself kit that's a knockoff of the DJI Firewheel. For safety purposes, I have removed all the propellers off of the quadcopter, so that way, in case anything goes awry, nothing gets chopped up, and it doesn't cause any damage to myself. So I have my receiver here, which comes with this transmitter or controller. The KK 2.15 Evo only comes with 3 servo wires, so you have 2 that have 3 pins in them, and then you have one that has this Medusa head. I don't know what you would call it, but it's got 3 of them coming off here. And so the right side of this KK 2.15 board is going to be for the motors, so you can put up to, I believe, 8 on there. I've got 4 in there now. I have 4 additional slots, so up to 8. Now, this flight controller is somewhat limited in its functionality. I don't believe it allows for GPS. I wish it did, but it only allows for, I believe, up to 6 channels. I could be wrong. Plus it has some gimbal settings in there, so I know it can work with the gimbal too as well. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and get started as far as hooking everything up. I'm going to go ahead and remove the the transmitter out of there, just so we can take a good look at this and as far as how I'm going to be setting this up. So on this board, I know from hooking it up with my FlySky, I believe it was an FST6 transmitter and receiver. This first set of pins here, they're not used. I don't know if it's just a power supply here, but the polarity on here, it goes, here is your signal, your positive is in the middle, and your negative is on this far left side. So this servo wire here with the 3 heads, I'm going to use this one here, and I'm going to go down to the second one, and I'm going to go into the signal wires, which is on the right hand side, and I'm going to plug this in. So I'm going to be using up 3 spots. So I'm going to need to take note that the brown wire here, because it's brown, red, and yellow, the brown wire is actually in the first slot, the red wire is in the second, yellow is in the third, because that will come in handy when I have to hook it into the channels on the receiver. Now the receiver will be powered by the flight controller, because the ESCs are going to run into the power board, and the power, or from the ESCs you have your servo wires that run into the flight controller, which power the flight controller, and then you're going to have 1 servo wire with 3 pins, so that way it will be able to power the receiver here. So for the second wire here that I'm going to put in, again, remembering the polarity of the board, the left hand side is the negative, so I'm going to take the brown wire and I'm going to go ahead and put it into slot number 4 with the brown wire there. Yellow wire is in the signal, red is in the positive, and then I'm going to repeat the process for this wire too as well. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to plug that one in as well, and we have all of our wires. And you can also, reverse these too, is that you can take this one with 1 end on it and the 3 here, and I can actually put that into the receiver if I choose to, or vice versa, whatever I choose. So what I'm going to go ahead and do now is I have the receiver, and the polarity on this runs signal positive, negative. So this is going to be the signal, positive in the middle, negative on the left. So I'm going to take my first wire, which is the brown one, and I'm going to go into channel 1, and I need to go into the signal wire, which is going to be the one here on the far left. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to plug that in like so. So that's my channel 1. My red wire is number 2. So I'm going to go ahead and use this one here to go into the receiver. Again, since I only need one pin, put that actually in different channel. So I'm going to go in red is going to go in channel number 2. Yellow is going to go into channel number 3. Now you'll notice that all these are lined up in the signal wire pin slot. So for the third wire on my flight controller, this one's going to go into, and try to do this without tangling it up because I'm not sure I'm going to wrap this up just yet. So this one's going to go into channel number 4, and I need to remember that the polarity on this is negative is on the far right. So I'm going to take the brown wire and I'm going to plug that in, and making sure that it's on the right hand side where the negative side is. And then I'm going to go ahead and follow it up with the last wire here for channel 5. And I'm going to go ahead and plug that in the same exact way. So I have 2 wires here, and then I have the 3 1 pins there. So your receiver should look like this. Bring it closer so you can get a better view. That's how it should be hooked up. And then the flight controller should be hooked up like so. Okay, so now we have the receiver hooked up to the flight controller, so we can go ahead and plug the battery in and try to test this out. So what I'm going to do, hopefully we'll be able to see it from this distance, is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to turn on my transmitter, my controller. It's on. All my to tell if our receiver is hooked up to the flight controller. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to move the throttle up, which is channel 3. That's working. I'm going to try the rudder, which I'm pushing right now and it's showing left, so I'm going to have to reverse that on the transmitter in the settings. And then if I look at my arm test, it says safe zone. If I go left, it's going into arm, which I need to reverse the rudder, and that should fix it. But when I push right, that should arm the quadcopter, so I'll need to fix that. Check out the ailerons. I'm pushing left, so that's good. Pushing right on the ailerons. I'm going to check out the elevators. So I'm pushing forward on the stick, which it says back, so I'll need to reverse that. So I'm going to need to reverse channels 1, and I'm going to need to reverse, I believe, channel 4. So I have to look at my layout on my controller in order to be able to reverse those to make sure that they're good. So I'm going to go ahead and do that now. So I'm going to go ahead and push the quadcopter back, and then we're going to bring in the controller, and we're going to go into our settings, hold down on the menu, and then I'm going to go into my system, I need to look at my stick layout first. So let's see, I need to reverse channel 1 and I need to reverse channel 4. So now I'm going to go back to the settings, and the very first option says reverse. I'm going to select that, and here it doesn't even have it on here by channel, so it should be a little bit easier for reversing. I haven't done it on this one yet, but I need to reverse my elevator, so let's see how we do that. Pretty easy. I just hit over on this button here, and then I need to go ahead and reverse my rudder. Okay, so that one is reversed too as well. So we're going to go ahead and exit out, and now we're going to bring back the flight controller to see if we're able to correct the issue. I'm going to get this up close, and I'm going to go up with the throttle, and I'm going to go left is still right, and right is still left. So I did not fix that, and my elevators are still not set correctly. So I'm going to need to get the controller again, and we're going to give this another try. Possibly this settings did not save, which looks like it's what is the case. So elevators, so I'm going to need to go ahead and switch those. Rudder, we need to go ahead and switch those. And then I guess to save it, we're going to hit the menu button possibly. So got to press down on the menu. Let's see if it's saved. We'll go into there again, and as we can see, it's saved. So let's pull the quadcopter back. I'm learning as I go along, so bear with me as I figure this out too. So my rudder, left, that's working. Right, that's working. When I push on my elevators, forward is forward, backward is backward. Let's make sure our arm is working. Arm to the right, it's on, and then we're good. So for the most part on the flight controller, we really don't need to touch anything else just at the moment. What I do need to do, I will need to trim out everything to 0 to hopefully get a stable flight. But I need to go ahead and set my self-leveling. And I'm just checking to make sure that that's saving in there. So I need to set up the auxiliary for channel number 5. So I'm going to go down to auxiliary channel, and my channel 5 is null. So anytime right now, currently when I'm doing channel 4, it's doing channel 5. So for the self-leveling mode, I'm just going to go ahead and hit channel 5. Oops. Let's go ahead and hit one of these buttons here. Okay. Channel 5, reverse throttle hold, gear, pit trim. So we're going to be looking for this ELDR. I want to use this flip switch right here. So let's keep going through these. Not seeing the option that I need, so I'm going to have to take a look up here. Okay, so I was able to figure it out on how to get a switch. So the only switch I was able to get it to program to is up here. If you actually look up here, it tells you what each switch is. If you see here, it says gear. I wasn't seeing anything in the options for F mode or any of these different options here, but other than the knobs. So I definitely want to flip switch for my auto leveling. So then I'm going to go into settings. This is how I did it. Push down firmly. I go down to auxiliary channel, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to select that. And then on channel 5 you have your options where you hit left right on this pad here. I'm going to set it to gear. If we look up top, gear is this switch here, and so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to hit this to save it, menu, and now it is saved in there. So if I go into my display settings, I'll see my throttle is down, and then if you look here where gear is on channel 5, if I flip that, it's going to go into auto leveling. So I'm actually going to reverse that because it needs to be off with this switch flipped up, otherwise the controller is going to cause an error. So in order to do that, I need to go ahead and reverse it. So I'm going to go up to the top of the menu to reverse, and then I'm going to go down to gear, and then I'm going to reverse it, and then I'm going to push the menu button in. Alright, so I finally figured out a solution with the receiver in regards to the auto leveling. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and move this into a receiver test, so that way we can have it on. So basically what we did, or I did, is I went in here to menu, settings, and then I went in. Reverse isn't working for the gear for some reason. I'm not sure. I'm gonna have to take a little bit better look into it. But for the auxiliary channel, I set channel 5, which is the auto leveling, which is this switch right here. You can see where it says gear. It's flipped forward right now, so that means it's on. Reversing it really doesn't seem to have an effect one way or the other, but when I go in here to display, so that way I can see all my channels that are on, I have my throttle up, throttle down, you know, obviously ailerons, elevators, everything is working correctly. And then if we look at the gear setting, it's on, so auto leveling is, our self auto leveling is automatically on. Flip the gear switch, it is off. So I can still turn the controller on because all the switches will be up, so it won't affect it. It's just going to be in self-leveling right off the bat, which isn't a bad thing because every time I've flown this, F450, it's a little wild, so I keep it in auto leveling at all times. So that's just how I'm going to have to set this up, but I'm going to bring back over the flight controller so that way we can go ahead and take a look at it and verify that everything is working correctly on it. So we have our throttle up, full, throttle down, and then we have our left, right for our rudders, and we have our elevators, forward, backwards, and our ailerons, left, right, and put the throttle all the way down. We have our arm on, arm off, disabled, and then we have our auxiliary, which is on, which is the self-leveling, and I can just flip that off, and the auxiliary is now off. So once I probably get some lights on here, or maybe I want to put something else on, I'm going to go ahead and probably put the self-leveling to auto, so then that way it's just automatically always on. So if you look on the controller here, you'll notice that the elevators are at -7, the rudders -4, ailerons -1. So we need to kind of zero out this controller and trim it out, so then that way it flies fine. In order to do so, we're just going to be using the trim buttons here to trim this thing down until we get to 0. So I'm going to get in a spot to where we can see the screen, and then we'll just start trimming it down. So I did notice that there was a little bit of a dropout with the throttle on this quadcopter. So I'm actually probably going to go ahead and trim that one up. And then for our elevators, we're going to go ahead and trim those down. And we want to get to 1-0 aileron, and then on our rudder, get that down to 0. So that is setting up the Turnigy X9 transmitter with the receiver on the KK 2.1.5 flight controller, and that's how you would hook it up and get you flying for the time being. Once I get some more servo wires, I am out of space on the flight controller, so I don't know what else I can plug in, but you know, possibly I might use this on a different quadcopter. We'll see as time goes on. But if this video helped you out in any way, definitely give it a thumbs up. Be sure to subscribe to the channel for more upcoming videos, flight reviews, as well as unboxings.